Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a mystery that's more than 3,000 years old, the Bronze Age collapse. And let me tell you, it's a story about the end of an entire world and what it just might tell us about our own. So let's just jump right in with the big one. How does an entire civilization, a whole network of powerful, advanced, interconnected kingdoms, just die? Seriously, it's one of the most compelling and haunting questions in all of history. All right, so picture this. 3,000 years ago, the Eastern Mediterranean was this vibrant, almost glamorous place. Just look at the artistry here. It's a world of sprawling palaces, legendary myths, and trade routes buzzing with activity. This wasn't some backwater. It was a time of immense power, wealth, and sophistication. And if you want proof of just how interconnected they were, look no further than the wreck of a single ship. The Ulu Burun shipwreck, found off the coast of Turkey, was like a floating Amazon warehouse of its day. We're talking copper from Cyprus, tin from Afghanistan, pottery from all over the Aegean. A single ship's cargo tells this incredible story of a truly globalized economy, the first of its kind. But then, it all just fell apart. You look at this timeline and you see centuries of stability, of incredible cultural high points, the era of the legendary Trojan War. And then, bam, around 1200 BCE, it's like the lights just go out. The great empires, the Mycenaeans in Greece, the Hittites in Anatolia, they vanished. Cities were burned to the ground. Entire systems of writing were lost for centuries. You have to ask, what on earth happened? Well, eventually, out of those ashes, a new world did begin to take shape. You see new peoples rising, like the Israelites and Philistines in Canaan, the Venetians in the Levant, and the early Greeks popping up in the Aegean. And, crucially, a game-changing technology starts to take hold, the alphabet. A much simpler, more accessible way to write that would honestly reshape the future of the entire planet. So you have this dramatic story of destruction and then this slow rebirth. But here's where things get really interesting and a little complicated. Is that even the right word for what happened? This quote right here from a recent academic seminar kind of throws a wrench in that whole popular story. It says, flat out, the notion of collapse has been out of date for decades in the scientific world, disproven by numerous archaeological data. Whoa! So here's the crucial difference. The popular story, the one we all kind of know, pictures this sudden event, one big cause, like an invasion, leading to this total disappearance. But the academic reality, it paints a very different picture. It suggests a long, slow transformation, a complex system failure. These societies didn't just vanish into thin air. They were painfully reorganized. They adapted. It was less of a sudden death and more of a really, really rough, century-long metamorphosis. Okay, so if it's not that simple, if it's not this clean, dramatic event, then why do we love the story of a sudden collapse so much? Why does that idea have such a powerful grip on our imagination? Well, the answer seems to lie in how we tell stories about the past. It turns out we tend to frame history using a few familiar shapes. Scholars have a great word for this: chronosophies, basically philosophies of time. There are three basic patterns we use over and over. First up, there's the story of progress. You know this one. It's the idea that history is this constant upward climb, always moving toward a better, brighter future. Then you've got its polar opposite, the story of decline. This is that narrative of a fall from some mythical golden age, a long, sad slide into decay and ruin. And finally, there's the story of cycles. This is the idea that history just repeats itself. An endless loop of rise and fall, empires being born only to crumble, again and again and again. And this, right here, brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. The stories we choose to tell about the past, they often act like a mirror, reflecting our own deep anxieties about the present. Our modern obsession with collapse probably says more about our own fears, living in this age we call the Anthropocene, our current era defined by humanity's massive impact on the planet. This contrast illustrates the point perfectly. On the left, you've got an ancient clay tablet. What is it? A simple, practical record of chariot wheels from the Bronze Age, just bureaucratic bookkeeping. On the right, A stack of modern books obsessing over societal breakdown. The very reason we tell stories about our worlds has fundamentally changed. And let's be clear, our anxiety isn't baseless. I mean, get this number, a staggering 60% decline in wild vertebrate populations in just over 40 years. When you hear a statistic that stark, it's no surprise that we have these modern fears of ecological collapse, and that stories of ancient ones feel so chillingly relevant. So, in the end, as one archaeological review puts it, the story of the Bronze Age, whatever its true nature was, should also remind us of the fragility of our own world. It's a powerful warning. Which leaves us with this one final, crucial question to chew on. Is history a lesson we should be learning for the future, or is it really just a story we're telling ourselves about today?